Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective. Welcome to another episode of Inside Veterans Affairs. Just getting back from a vacation, and it was a great time. Went over to Jacksonville and hung out with Belinda and Randy and Jim Knight and his wife, and went to go see the Trans Siberian Orchestra and that kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun, a really relaxing week. And I noticed that apparently, when you take a week off of YouTube, they decide, oh, you don't need those subscribers anymore. So they start taking them from you. They have taken a bunch from me, so they're trying to eliminate my channel one subscriber at a time. Um, do I? Is my audio good, Wilman? How you doing? Good audio coming through because I have two different settings for microphone, and I got to make sure that I'm good and loud and clear. Um, Also, got to let you know that this is an adults only channel. This is not intended for children. This is for the entertainment and information of adults. If you are under the age of 18, I would ask that you excuse yourself from this channel. And with that, I say thank you very much. Um, Grandma Moses, good to see you. Pretty much loud and clear. Good. All right, excellent. Okay, in the I will not be joined by Belinda because she apparently was coming down with a cold the day we left, so I figured she got sick of us. No, she didn't. Just kidding. But no, she started feeling kind of rough yesterday, so we're I'm going to be winging this one through by myself tonight, and prayers up for her, make her get better, and we'll be back on together later on this week. Dangerous Freedom, good to see you. Margot, of course, good to see you. Miss Mary, welcome. All right. I know that 12B Georgia's in here, and I know that tonight's show will be extremely offensive to him, so that we can be looking forward to, so that'll be a good thing. If we can offend 12B Georgia, then we are doing something right. Um, anyway, so this show, I'm going to be touching base. Donnie Newman, welcome. Uh, Touching base on the oath of office and some little known details about our elected officials that you guys might find interesting. But as always, I start out my episodes by talking about the headlines in the veterans issues. And with that, and without any further ado or a don't, I will get on to those. Oh no, no Belinda. Hey Alex. Good. Yeah. Hey Bobby. Yeah, she not feeling too hot. Vince Dunn. Good to see you, Pete. Welcome, Kentucky Patriot. Welcome. All right. So yeah, she started coming down with a cold. We had too much fun running around this last week, so it just wore her out. But if you can be worn out by having a hell of a good time, then you have done something right. So we feel good about that. Jeff, good to see you. All right, now inside the veterans issues right now, headlines, intergovernmental affairs. Just some quick run through on some of these headlines that have come through. VA recognized for health IT innovations directly impacting veterans. So it says U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs VA makes an impact, driving change and advancement in the federal health informational technology market. Yeah, because they're doing the telehealth now and really expanding on that. Uh, you find this show offensive and inappropriate and triggered. I feel right at home. I am so happy to hear that. It really does make my millennium when I can truly offend somebody. It's so self gratifying. Um, I'm thrilled to death for you, Wellman. I appreciate that. Um, all right, so the next one here, VA Walmart opened telehealth locations to serve veterans in rural areas. Interesting. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, and Walmart cut the ribbon in Asheboro, North Carolina, December 10th for a new VA led accessing telehealth through local area stations. Um, yeah, pilot locations. That's kind of cool. Um, I'm a little surprised because Walmart's usually kicking it with the lefties. So for them to do something like this for the veterans in their area, that's actually kind of cool. Just in case nobody told you today, thank you for your service and thank you as well. Appreciate you. Benny, welcome. Good to see you, brother. There you go. 12B Georgia already getting triggered. All right. We are off to a good start. All right, keep going with this one here. Um, Lisa Olafson's with us tonight. Good to see you. Welcome. Um, VA extends benefits to offshore Blue Water Navy Vietnam veterans January 1st. And the phone's ringing. I'll get it. No, I won't. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs begins deciding Blue Water Navy Vietnam Veterans Act of 2019 claims January 1st, 2020, extending the presumption of herbicide exposure that include toxins such as Agent Orange to veterans who served in the offshore water of the Republic of Vietnam during the Vietnam War. So it's taken a little while, but Agent Orange is starting to get into the headlines. There are programs right now that are being put together to compensate the veterans from, thank you, from the Vietnam era. Um, it has taken entirely too long. That's very disappointing, but it's getting done, and that's the important thing. Um, the the people that served in the Gulf War that had the same kind of chemical exposure, Gulf War syndrome. We are now dealing with a thing they're calling presumptive illness, and it's because they can't, confirm or deny that the activity happened that caused them to get sick, but they're compensating them for it anyway. So they're calling it presumptive illness, and this Vietnam offshore blue water thing is very likely in the same category because you don't have to be directly on the ground to be exposed. I got exposed to Gulf War syndrome because of the vehicles that came back from the sandbox when we got them getting ready to get them off the ships. They had sand about 8 inches over their pedals, so you had to reach in by hand and scoop all that sand out of there. And what you're doing is you're throwing it right into your face as you're digging it out so you can drive the trucks off the ships. So I got exposed to all the chemicals that existed in the sandbox over there by doing my job stateside. So that's where they get presumptive illness. Uh, Agent Orange in the library with a candlestick. I think it was the butler, but you're close. You know, keep trying though. You might get it. All right. Last announcement on intergovernmental affairs is VA announces proposal to increase access to dental care. I used to be tough and ruthless. Now I'm just rough and toothless because of the VA's dental program. Um, Anyway, it says today the Department of Veterans Affairs announced it has submitted to Congress a waiver request and a pilot program under Section 152 of the VA Maintaining Internal Systems and Strengthening Integrated Outside Networks Act of 2018, the Mission Act, to improve access to dental care for veterans. Please, I am so sick of being without teeth. I'm stuck with these stupid temporary caps on the top of these $1,100 implants. I've got half of a mortgage in my mouth and I don't have teeth on them yet, so whatever. Hopefully they get that going. Well, thank you. I love the cat too. This is an old cat. He doesn't look it, but dude is old. But he's still kicking it. He's healthy as a horse with a dragon belly, though. Anyway, so that is intergovernmental affairs. Those are the headlines for the week. A couple of good things came out of that. I'm pleased to see the Walmart working with telehealth services. I'm hoping that I'll be able to find some more on that. Anyway, so that could be a good deal. And if they get this dental going for veterans, you know, something's got to be done because, again, with the people with the Gulf War syndrome, in my case, the chemicals that I was exposed to, I lost my teeth in 2 years. I had perfect teeth, not even a cavity, never had anything done to them. And then in 2 years, they were black, like they felt like sand, and they just fell out of my face. So the chemicals took my teeth, and the VA gave me a half a job putting the implants in, but then decided that they weren't going to continue that anymore, and that way they would save a lot of money. Wife is watching the movie A Time to Kill. Well, that's a good thing. Everybody needs a little 007 in their life. Um, huh. New scoring standards coming for Marine rifle marksmanship badges. Let's see what the Marines have to do for rifle badges. In an effort to improve combat marksmanship dramatically, Marine Corps officials are working on a new set of standards for the service's 3 marksmanship skill badges. So far, one thing is clear: the new standards won't be easier. Maybe they'll be at the standards of the Army now. Sorry, couldn't help it. I had to throw that in there. You should make the VA pay an orthodontist to fix what they messed up. Well, yeah, I we're talking about little old me against a government entity. It's I wish I could go in there and put a fist on the table and say, "Do this now," but you and I both know that won't work. Yeah, Kevin, Kenneth Porter, you are right. Walmart is evil, but if they are willing to help veterans out through this telehealth services, if a veteran, for example, let's take a homeless veteran, maybe he is going in for medical care, but he still doesn't have a residence yet. If he can go through telehealth at Walmart and be able to get his medical care, get his medications, um, I don't know everything about it yet, so I'm going to be looking into that more. That's sort of the first time I saw that. Um, I am going to be curious to see if, since they would have to use Walmart for their telehealth services, if there will be a program set up by Walmart where somebody who is out of doors or without address, I wonder if they would be able to receive medications through the Walmart at the same location they do the telehealth. So, going to look into it. Might even inquire about it with the VA and see what they have to say about it. But it appears here I have a message. This just in: the exposure you had that affected your teeth became genetic. Yes, that was my son. The just like Agent Orange, they're finding out that it goes to the children, and in some cases the grandchildren, and the Gulf War syndrome goes to my children. So my kids both have skin problems and issues that I have from my exposure, and my wife also. So I mean, there was a contact exposure, and then there was in utero. So bad stuff. Anywho, back to the Marines. Says Marines are going to have to truly earn those coveted crossed rifles that indicate an expert marksman. Colonel Howard Howell, Howard Hall, easy for me to spit out, commander of the Weapons Training Battalion at Quantico, Virginia, told military.com. The new scoring standards for the Corps marksman, sharpshooter, and expert badges are part of an ambitious plan to replace the current annual rifle training ART qualifications course with a new annual rifle qualification ARQ. A challenging new course of fire that will force Marines in the operational force to draw on the basic marksmanship skills they learned in initial entry training and apply them in a realistic assessment designed to measure how lethal they really are. If approved in 2021, the ARQ will consist of 3-day course that involves day and night qualifications against modern silhouette targets with lethal zones and chest and head rather than the outdated bullseye style targeting. Marines will qualify in full combat gear, firing in an array of stationary and moving targets from distances ranging from 15 to 500 yards. You want to impress me? Put 1,000 yards on that sucker. It's a more difficult test. There is no doubt about it, Hall said. The Marine Corps marksmanship community drafted the new ARQ course of fire in October 2018 at the annual Combat Marksmanship Symposium, recognizing that it was an operational necessity to focus on lethality instead of marksmanship, Hall said. I think the two pretty much correlate. If you are not a good marksman, then your lethality also is jeopardized. Darla Tidwell, good to see you. Robert Verhey, welcome. Where did you find the coffee cup? Oh, actually, the coffee cup. My son got that for me at a local hardware store. Kind of cool, you know. My flag garden that surrounds me for my Sunday show. I was using a plain white cup, and my son said that's unacceptable, and corrected the problem. So, thank you to the sun. All right, so let's see. So far, the Marine Corps has validated the ARQ with scores from 226 Marines across 226 Marines from across the force who went through the course in fiscal year 2019. While the sample was not large enough to represent the entire Marine Corps, it provided Marine Corps operational tests and evaluation activity enough data to make an objective assessment so that the effort could move forward, Hall said. Anyway, so I'm looking to see if they have a... Okay, here we go. Under the current qualification standards, Marines fire 50 rounds worth 5 points each, depending on the shot placement on the target. They must earn at least a 190 to earn the marksman badge, at least 210 to earn the sharpshooter, and at least 220 to earn expert. In fiscal year 2019, 65% of the Marines across the force achieved expert at the ART qualification course. This is a very high number. It still says that they are experts in executing the fundamentals of marksmanship, but it does not necessarily say that they would be successful in a dynamic environment. That's true, because targets don't shoot back. So you have to be able to maintain yourself while receiving fire as well as distributing it. So that's interesting. We'll see how well the Marines do. I know that we had dynamic courses that I got to participate in when I was in the Army, and obviously the static courses. So, you know, target pop up downrange, and you go to the next one, it pops up, and you shoot them down. But the dynamic courses, they're a lot of fun in play and practice, but I imagine they're pretty hairy in real life situations. So you have to keep a level head in order to function. All right, there says here, these military nonprofits offer troops a little holiday help. So let's open that and see what we've got to say about that. Oh, you know me, Bobby. I try. It's going to be interesting. I don't want to go too long on these headlines because I want to get into the oath of office, and I think something that I found is going to be a little jaw-dropping for some folks. All right, so it says about the holiday help. When you're a military family, money can be tight. Well, no shit. Developments and PCS moves can wreck a budget. Deployments and PCS moves can wreck a budget. When money is tight, facing the Christmas season can be depressing. Thankfully, there are many charities and military nonprofits who offer help to military families so that their holiday season can be merry and bright. You may be able to find assistance in providing gifts or a special holiday meal. Um, I'll interject that one. I think I mentioned it last week. I should have if I didn't, but I'm pretty sure I did. If you know a veteran who is going to be alone for the holiday, please go get them. Bring them home. Get them a meal. Feed them. If you know a homeless veteran, you know, uh, bring them to the house. Let them get a shower. You know, maybe get some clean clothes for them. Get something for them, and give them a hell of a holiday. Let them know that the people give a damn, because you can change an entire life with just one small act of kindness. So, just wanted to put that in there. Anyway, so it says, while I've listed specific large groups here, please keep in mind that there are literally thousands of small local programs. If you need help, please reach out. It's a little hard for some of these people to reach out because too much pride, but reach out. Anyway, your command's family readiness group. That's going through your chain of command. Your installations, Family Services Center, Airmen and Family Readiness Centers, Army Community Services, Fleet and Family Service Center, and Marine Corps Community Center. Those are all available at your military bases. You would check with your platoon sergeant, and obviously they would get you in the direction that you need to be. Uh, Obviously, if you're having other issues, your installation chapel, reach out for help there. You never know. Sometimes even a prayer can make a big difference. Um, the local USO, they are a good program. They help out a lot. And the local Armed Services, YMCA. So if you're having a difficult time at Christmas and you really feel like you need some help, your first hurdle is to get over the shyness of asking for help and drop some of the pride and lose some of the ego and get your ass out there and say, I need a little help. It isn't that big a deal. You're not going to lose too many ounces of man pressure if you ask somebody for help, or woman pressure. I mean, either one. They both have a hard time. Um, you played war games against boot officers in Quantico. That would be a trip. I'd be down with that. I had I guess a God-given gift because History Bee, she made it. How you doing? Um, I fired pretty much expert from the first time I put my hands on a gun, so I can't can't remember all of the things that I used to remember, but I can still shoot a flea off a fly's ass at 100 yards, so I can still do something right. All right. The second half of the show getting ready to crank up. We have the oaths of enlistment and oaths of office. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have taken an oath to protect the Constitution and this country as it stands, some people unfortunately have forgotten what that means. So I am going to work on a couple of things that will bring to the forefront what it really means to take an oath of office, and also the fact that it doesn't expire. You are bound to your oath of this country if you have served in this country, if you have been elected to serve in the country. You are bound to your oath of office until the day they kick the dirt on you. So some people think, oh, well, I'm not enlisted anymore. It really doesn't matter. It does matter. You are a sworn protector of the Constitution and of the United States of America. So, something to remember. The wordings of the current oath of enlistment and the oath of the commissioned officers are as follows. Let me zoom that in because that is kind of a long ways away. There it is. Oh, there are letters on this page. Amazing. I can hit the flea on a flies ass at 100 yards if I can see the fleet. So I have to be able to see them. So maybe glasses. But anyway, the oath that we take is I state your name, my name, or your name, do solemnly swear to or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed above me, according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. That means that you will be protecting the Constitution and you will be protecting the people of the country that you have sworn that oath to. And the reason I'm bringing this up is we got a situation going on over here in Virginia, and I think some people are forgetting a little something, that just because your elected official or whomsoever says you will go out and do this, there's a little tiny thing called the Constitution, and a little thing that's even more important to that is the fact that if you are given an unconstitutional or unlawful order, it is your responsibility to refuse that order. And you know, there's going to be retaliation for refusing a direct order. So when you do it, you better be damn sure that it is unconstitutional. And if it conflicts with the God-given rights of the American people that you are sworn to protect, it is an unconstitutional order. That means you can refuse it. You will have retaliation, but there won't be anywhere they can go with it. Now, the mayor of Virginia is spouting out that he's going to send the National Guard out to take the guns from the citizens, and that he's going to arrest the sheriffs of these counties, or that there will be consequences. We know what the hell that means when the liberals say it. Yeah, Deplorable Bobby's got his dangerous deplorables on right after me, folks. So make sure you get over there. Also, let me throw a footnote. Make sure you guys spread the word around about this channel, because they are literally deleting me 10 subscribers at a time. And if I don't get them help, if we can't get this thing kicked over, they're going to win. So share it out any way you can. If you know veterans, let them know about me, and let's help get the word out here. Yeah, the National Guard already said no and not so many words. Thank you, Pete. I'm aware of that, but here's the issue. You have some lefties that are still active duty, and the real number says that about 30% of the people that have taken the oath and that have joined our military, 30% would follow orders to do things against the people that they are supposed to be protecting. That is a sickening number. I'm hoping that it is grossly inflated, but I couldn't find a whole lot of polls. I got that from over at what is it, Dave's show. What is that show? Yeah. I can't think of his name. Common Sense Show. Yeah, Dave from the Common Sense Show. He's got a lot of contacts, a lot of information, and some people that he talked to were giving him numbers. So I got the 30% from him. I just have to hope that, you know, heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who may be incorrect. But if it is correct, yeah, 30% would get shot for no good reason. Then there would be nothing harder in my personal life than to put down a uniformed person that you know, one of our uniformed members. That would be something that would be very, very hard to recover from. So I'm hoping that these people that have sworn this oath to protect the people and the Constitution, that they really think about that before they put themselves or anybody else in danger. Um, Here's the problem, though. The Some people are intimidated by retribution, and they don't understand what their real rights are. And the the code for our oath has actually been adjusted a few times in our history. As long as it doesn't keep getting adjusted, so that it basically makes it so that you can never refuse an executive order or anything like that. It's Title 10 U.S. Code Act of 5 May 1960, replacing the wording first adopted in 1789 with amendment effective 5 October 1962. So um, it's been the way it is for quite some time, but the way they're trying to change our Constitution and rewrite it and all this other, it's just a matter of time before they try to amend it. So you shared it to me. I appreciate that, man. Really do. All right. Now, what I've opened up here is this is written by a former major, John Lind of the U.S. Army, 1976 to 1997. And it says specifically the question is, can you disobey a direct order? A soldier can refuse any order at any time they choose to, for any reason, at their own peril, for the full consequences of refusing to obey that order. So that's where I said you make damn sure that it is a true unconstitutional, unlawful order before you stand your ground, because you will lose if it's not. Telling people to go house to house to take away somebody's personal property, that's Fourth Amendment, without a warrant and without any justice, that's an unconstitutional order. Removing the person's ability to defend themselves, taking away their weapons, that's an unconstitutional order. It infringes on the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed, period. So, those are two that absolutely qualify. Now, the rest of what he said here is he says, you had best be not just right, but clearly and unequivocally right regarding the order's unlawfulness. A trial and a judge will determine whether or not said order was lawful, which covers more than just constitutionality. The soldier must first presume orders given are lawful unless they are so clearly unlawful that the average individual would readily see they are blatantly unlawful. It is permissible to question an order for clarification, if possible under the circumstances, emphasis on clarification, if its lawfulness is suspect, but you had best be ready to comply when given the answer. In the absence of that, it's best to follow the order and then report it afterwards. That's where there's a questionable thing in it. And when it says you follow the order and question it afterwards, negative. I don't agree with that, Major. With all due respect, sir, you can kiss my ass with that one. An order to kill unarmed civilians or to exact retribution to punish unarmed civilians by destroying their property or injuring them as a result of insurgent or unlawful combatant behavior is an example of an order blatantly unlawful. All right, he redeemed himself. And it should be obvious that it's unlawful. Constitutionality of an order is very nearly always way beyond the pay grade of not just rank and file enlisted soldiers, but most officers as well, until you get into the flag ranks, generals and admirals. You had best be an attorney deeply schooled in the U.S. Constitutional law before refusing an order based on constitutional grounds. That's because they've manipulated the Constitution so much that nobody knows what the hell it is anymore. And when it comes to constitutionality, The Constitution is written clearly, and it is interpreted by judges that use opinion to create their own analysis. And I totally disagree with that. It's plain English. Read it and follow it. Your likelihood of prevailing is slim to zero, with heavy emphasis on zero. Then so what? See, I don't agree with this. He made it very clear that being told to go take the weapons of people or destroying their property is unlawful. Then he goes and says, oh, but your constitutionality is a totally different thing. Well, Constitution, here's the little dealio on the Constitution, y'all. The Constitution is not expressing our rights. Yep, letting you chew on that one a minute. The Constitution is protecting our rights. The Constitution was designed to keep a leash on the government, not to express to the American people their ability to do things. Our rights come from God. They are God-given rights. When they say God-given, means that you have the right to exist. You have the right to protect yourself from being removed. You have the right to be. And if a law is put in place that gets in the way of any of that, then it's unconstitutional. And the government is the one that should be restrained, not the people. The Constitution is for the government. So a lot of people get that mixed up. They say, oh, it's my constitutional rights. Nope, your rights are God-given. It's the government's restraint of your constitutional rights. They cannot infringe on those rights. So the Constitution is literally designed to keep the government in check. So you guys need to remember that too. So when they say, oh, it's against the Constitution, they are the ones that are against the Constitution. Anyway, so this officer, former officer, I mean, he's still an officer, but retired officer, I agree with him on a couple of points. I disagree wholeheartedly on others. It's not that hard to understand the Constitution. The first thing you need to do is read it. You need to read all the amendments. You need to read the Constitution, and you need to understand it, because then you know what the government cannot do to you. It won't tell you what you are free to do, but it will tell you what the government is not free to do. So you just exist. You have the ability to be, and the government is supposed to stay the hell out of that. All right. So next thing I got here. This is interesting. This is 5 U.S. Code 3333, Employee Affidavit, Loyalty and Striking Against the Government. Now, there is actually a little known thing that basically says that our elected officials cannot serve if they've been found to be participating in a government overthrow, which means that literally everything they do from the point they are caught saying that they want to overthrow means they have no constitutional right to serve in the government anymore. They can literally be removed. Bye. So, little known things. Anyway, so let me read here Section A, and again, this is 5 U.S. Code 3333. Except as provided by subsection B of this section, an individual who accepts office or employment in the government of the United States or in the government of the District of Columbia, remember they're two separate because of the U.S. corporation. I explained that earlier in other videos, so that's why there's two different governments, shall execute an affidavit within 60 days after accepting the office or employment that his acceptance and holding of the office or employment does not or will not violate Section 7311 of this title. The affidavit is prima facie evidence that the acceptance and holding of office or employment by an affiant does not or will not violate Section 7311 of this title. Be patient. I'm going to get to 7311 in a second. Section B. An affidavit is not required from an individual employed by the government of the United States or the government of the District of Columbia for less than 60 days for sudden emergency work involving the loss of human life or the destruction of property. This subsection does not relieve an individual from liability of violation of Section 7311 of the U.S. title. Now, the reason I brought that up is because violation of 7311, this is 5 U.S. Code 7311, U.S. Code unannotated, Title 5, Government Organizations and Employees, subsection 7311, Loyalty and Strike. An individual may not accept or hold a position in the government of the United States or the government of the District of Columbia. Again, they're separate governments. Number one, if he advocates the overthrow or constitutional form of government, of our constitutional form of government. Now, let me kind of go back here a second. An individual may not accept or hold a position in the government of the United States or the government of the District of Columbia if he, number one, advocates the overthrow of our constitutional form of government. That's just number one. That means they cannot continue to hold the position. They're done. And as Americans, as patriots, we are well within our legality to go to the Capitol and have them removed. History B, you should be teaching a civics in your local high school or start working at a charter school. Seriously. I would, but I have kids. I love kids, but they are nowadays are very aggressive. I would love to do it. I used to do school shows and presentations with my petting zoo and used to teach about animals, but it's just a different world. Now, we didn't get past number one, and I am at 6:42, so we're doing good on time. It's possible I might be done a little bit early, but we're going to keep on going. Yeah, I know they do History B. I need the kids too, but you never know. I might volunteer at libraries or something. Just give me something to do. But with the way the VA set up my disability rating, they put me as unemployable, so it sort of red flags me. Nobody's going to hire me because of that. So there's no job in it. It's just if I want to volunteer, and I may do that. We'll just see. Huh? Hobby. Well, yeah, could be a hobby. All right. Let me get to number 2 here. These are the subsections of 7311. The first one makes it clear as day. They want to overthrow our constitutional form of government. Individual may not hold the position. All right, number 2. If he or she is a member of an organization that he knows advocates the overthrow of our constitutional form of government. MoveOn.org. Very first example. Any organization that is owned and coordinated and funded by George Soros is an organization that has a plan to overthrow our constitutional form of government. Any elected official that receives money from those organizations and follows the rules put forth by Jorge Schwartz, or Georgie Schwartz, otherwise known as George Soros, is not allowed to continue to hold the position in the government. That's number 2. Number 3, participates in a strike or asserts the right to strike against the government of the United States or the government of the District of Columbia. Now, I don't at this point see a strike, so that one, I don't know that I have a dog in that fight. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about a strike or refusal to do government work that they're elected to do, except for the fact that the Democrats have been so distracted with impeachment that they can't do any other work. So, thank you, Bobby. Appreciate that, man. That means a lot. I appreciate you, Bobby. And I try hard. I try to get this stuff together, and I try and make it as clear as possible, because if you just read this stuff, try to go through subsections and titles and codes and amendments and all that, your eyes cross and your hair bleeds. So I try to break it down, and I try to make it as clear as possible, and I hope I'm doing that. That is my goal with this. All right. Last one here, number 4. If he is a member of an organization of employees of the government of the United States or of individuals employed by the government of the District of Columbia, that he knows asserts the right to strike against the government of the United States or the government of the District of Columbia. That's a little bit of a gray area. The organizations that would potentially strike against the government are the same organizations that fund Antifa and that fund MoveOn.org, Black Lives Matter. They can push for government strike. And if they do it, then it adds another check mark to their stuff. NWO Satanism, Soros, you're right. He's a psycho. But who will be willing to arrest any of them at their place of work? Local cops, sheriffs, military. The reality is, as hard as this is to hear, it's we the people. If the people show up in DC according to their own codes, 5 U.S. codes, 7311, it's a subsection of the U.S. Code 3333, or subsection 3333, employment affidavit, loyalty and striking against the government. 7311 is a subsection of that code. This is their law. This is what the elected officials wrote as their own law. So according to this section, we the people could go to the Capitol and demand that they leave their office. I mean, I guess somebody's got to have the stones to do it. There's a lot of intimidation, a lot of people that don't realize that there is a law in their favor, and you can't arrest them necessarily. You can potentially try to pursue a indictment through the use of affidavits. That would mean that everybody that you could get would write an affidavit stating what they have seen, what they've heard, and that they, according to what they've heard and according to the Constitution, according to the laws of the House and of the Senate and of our government, that this person broke the law in this section and, this subsection, this title. You can do affidavits, and then you can request that a state's attorney move forward with an investigation for potential indictment. So as an American individual, you cannot necessarily arrest them, but you can push forward for an affidavit, or using affidavits rather. And there is a such thing as a citizen's arrest, but that's got a technicality. Invader Zim, welcome. Yeah, veterans could all march on Washington. The thing is, this would not require a violent march. It's right here in the codes, in the subsections, in the law. So this isn't just somebody saying, okay, well, I'm walking in here. You go in there with the paperwork and you say, according to 3333 of the U.S. Code number 5, And in subsection 7311, you are in violation of your oath of office, and as an individual may not accept or hold a position in the government of the United States or the government of the District of Columbia. You may not continue to hold your position. We are demanding that you leave your office and do not return. It's their law. So anyway, that's what I got on that. So that we just need to be familiar with our law. When you go to court or anything like that, they say, well, you need to know the law. That's true. They don't have to know the law, because if they realize you don't know the law, they get away with anything they want to do. They just say, oh yeah, that's legal. What are you going to do? Question them? I am. So yeah, I look into the laws as they write them. You can turn their stuff against them if you're willing to do it. All right, so that one got me cranked. Now, the next section, can citizens remove a politician from office? I just explained how that can be done legally and without violence, just a flat out demand that you can no longer hold this office and you need to leave now. Everyone has an American flag in hand peacefully. Absolutely. And welcome. God bless America. Good to see you. Um, yeah, I really hope our president has a great gift idea for Americans and Americans' Christmas Day indictments. Um, I agree, but I doubt it. I don't think they're ready yet. I think they're still putting stuff together. Uh, they make BBN it up as they go. Yeah, keep making it up as they go. They don't know the laws. That's true. And every time they say, well, he's going against his oath to the Constitution, what they're actually doing is projecting. They are doing it. Um, Remember what I said here just a little while ago. The Constitution is not explaining to you your rights, it's restricting the government from taking away your God given rights. So keep that in mind. They can make it up all they want, but they are restrained by the Constitution if we hold them up to it. It's up to us to make sure that they stay restrained by the limits of the Constitution. Um, Originally from Alabama, well, welcome. Uh, G.A. Bunny. It will happen again. No doubt. Yeah, you're right, Pete. Flag in hand, going peacefully, but stay armed just in case. Personal safety. Vince, and I partly agree with that. Um, in order to do this under the laws that they have written, using their own stuff against them, it needs to be completely peaceful. And one way that you can do it using the armed persons, not everybody, you find the sheriffs that are tired of this crap, because an elected sheriff has an incredible amount of power. A lot of people don't realize it. He has the power to go into an office and arrest elected officials. So the best way to do it is to form your group of people and have the names of the people that you want to remove according to the law, and show them the section, the subsection, and the code, and use that to remove them, and use the sheriffs that are on the side of the people to do the arrest if necessary. But anyway, so you got to be careful. This is why they no longer teach civics in school, control the masses by making them ignorant of the law and their power. That's true. And that's what disgusts me. Nobody knows these things. And I don't blame any of you at all for potentially not knowing this stuff, but they bury it. The amount of work it takes to find these things is really sometimes a lot. You really got to dig, because they bury stuff. They manipulate. They use propaganda. They really try to steer you in a different direction if you're getting close. So Anyway, I got 6 minutes left. I want to try to blow through this real quick. It says, can citizens remove a politician from office? In the United States, federal officials can be removed from office before their term is up only by the process known of impeachment. Incorrect, according to the law that I just read. However, state and local officials can be removed from office through a procedure known as a recall. Recalls are typically carried out by special elections called for by the voters. Now, the problem with the recall is you have to get the signatures and you have to submit those signatures. Somebody has to agree to move forward with the signatures and the request for a recall. And if the entire corrupt system goes all the way to the officer that receives the list of people for the recall, all he has to do is say, "Oh, I didn't see it," and there again you lose. Just like the situation with the Convention of States, if the Congress won't vote on laws to restrain themselves, then there's a thing called the Convention of States, and apparently we've already got all that are needed for a true state convention to do an amendment to the Constitution over passing over the House and the Senate. They can they can take it to the states. Well, this apparently our Convention of States has been submitted to the Congress and it's been tabled. So how the hell do you get past that part? If you already have the states, the Convention of States can be called at any time. They can do the amendments to the Constitution that would put more restraints on the House and the Senate, like term limits. Then, if all they have to do is table it once you submit it, then how the hell do you beat that? They've obviously kicked the law straight out the window, and the only way to do that is to get around that is using their own codes and their subsections and their titles, and then going in with a very large number of people and demanding that they leave. So it's in their laws. It's right there, black and white. So they write it, they have to be held to it. I are prepared for our show. Good. Dangerous Freedom, you'll be ready to go. I got a phone call from China, and Lions Republic had said that the left the left lied and was doing the selling of things to people instead of the impeachment. The description is on this channel, Lions Republic. Yeah, I listen to him all the time. I'm not sure which one that is, though. I got a phone call from China, and the Lions Republic had said that the left lied and was doing the selling of things to people instead of the impeachment. Darla, I'm not quite sure what you mean by the selling to the people instead of the impeachment. I mean, I know they're trying to sell a line of crap to the people. Uh, yeah, Lisa, you're correct about that. I can definitely make it fun. I had a fun history teacher. History B would be a fun teacher, I think. Yeah, Lions Republic, right? Um, anyway, so I am 58. I am 2 minutes away from the end of this show. Ah, all right. I want to close this out by a couple of things that I found in our amendments that I found interesting. For one thing, I'm going to this little note. This is a note. Amendment 14, Section 2 of the Constitution was modified by Section 1 of the 26th Amendment. So, when amendments are ratified by the states, which the 14th Amendment was not, 1913 anyway, so it has to be ratified by the states. Apparently, when a amendment is ratified, it can also require the modification of other amendments. So we got to keep that in mind. If term limits gets put in place, we need to watch out for the potential of it modifying amendments around it. Mr. L, good to see you. Oh, anyway, This is Amendment 16, passed by Congress March 23rd, 1971, ratified July 1st, 1971. The right of the citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state and on account of age. So they're talking about, well, let's lower the age to 16. Well, according to the amendment, these amendments are not meant to be adjusted according to how you feel. This means that they cannot change the voting age to 18 without the states ratifying the change to the amendment. Thank you, History B. Thank you, Bobby. Anyway, so I wanted to read that one because it specifies that it's 18 and older, and they can't just say, okay, well, we're going to drop it to 16. Doesn't work that way. Convention of States, they need to get in here and get some control on this stuff. Amendments have to be ratified. The Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. So they can enforce the voting age of 18, but they can't just change it. All right. That is my full hour. I am so glad you guys came to hang out. To my mods, I appreciate you very much. To everybody else that gave me an hour of your life tonight, thank you. God bless. I hope I got some good information out there. I hope you guys will share this far and wide. Let's try to get people to understand what we've got. We've got a constitution. We've got a government that is rogue, and we've got their own laws that we can use to make some corrections. So, anyway, with that being said, boy, this show worked me up tonight. Thank you very much for everybody coming, and y'all stay in the fight.